rooting interest. First of all, I want to set this up for our listeners and our voters and our viewers. So if you can you begin with giving me the teams that we're going to be rooting for? Can you give me 4 so I can fill out a poll question?
Sure. All right. Who would you rather see?
Well, I can write the poll question myself. Just give me the 4 teams.
Okay. I'll give it to you. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma.
Okay. So I just can't root for Alabama, Georgia, Florida, or Oklahoma. To me, because of my age, it's Alabama, which is probably the team I should most root for the Vols to make the college football playoff. But I think they still make it at 10-2, and Alabama is a bunch of dastardly thieves, and I just refuse to root for them. So that the poll question is up. I just can't root for Florida, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia. Why should we be rooting for the Crimson Tide, Caleb Calhoun?
We'll get to the Crimson Tide. I want to do my whole tiers on each game you want to root for.
Okay.
So we'll start. But yes, you need to root for the Crimson Tide because of LSU this weekend. And if your hatred for the Crimson Tide outweighs what's best for Tennessee in the college football playoff race, that's a loser's mentality. And you're a loser. And
that's hot.
So
okay.
Now let me go to the start. There's 5 tiers for this, and I always do tiers. It's teams you want to avoid playing, teams that will help your strength of schedule, upsets that you need that would help eliminate your CFP competition, other games that wouldn't be upsets but legitimate types of games that could eliminate your CFP competition, and then games that would eliminate your CFP competition and boost your strength of schedule. So I'm going to go all 5 tiers. We'll start with teams you want to avoid playing in the college football playoff. Navy's out. They've lost 2 games. If you're Tennessee, you agree you never want to play Navy in the playoff. The only team in your way now is Army. And so you need to root like heck for North Texas over Army. And you need to root like heck for Boise State over Nevada because you would much rather play Boise State than Army in the playoff. And for a little insurance, root for Tulane over Temple because Tulane may be in the playoff race.
I'll just tell you, when it comes to rooting for North Texas, I will root for them anytime. I am on the edge of my couch every weekend watching the North Texas game. As a matter of fact, I was asked to leave the Neyland Stadium press box one time because I said, to heck with this Tennessee game, pull all the curtains and give me some North Texas.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Okay, so here's an interesting
drink. It's the pre-workout.
All right, the next one is boosting Tennessee's strength of schedule. And we had a big debate about this earlier because every team they play matters, including how good the bad ones are. So every team they played matters. So unfortunately for Tennessee, Kent State lost to Ohio last night. So, Kent State, that's just not going to look like a quality win now.
Well, I read a well-done piece on how bad things have gone at Kent State this year. And it's worse than you think. All right, Caleb, it is the last look brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Let's take a look at the further tiers brought to you by our good friends at Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, cctis.com.
Oh, sorry.
Well, that didn't work at all. Do you want to try it again, Caleb? Did it seem jerky on your side?
Yes. I don't know what.
To visit cctis.com. The information you need is easy to access, and setting an appointment is as simple as clicking the tab. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and Eye Care Optical at cctis.com. Simply the best.
Rooting for next, Caleb Calhoun, as we'll all agree that the college football playoff has been tremendous for the regular season.
All right, so to help Tennessee strength of schedule, just finishing that you want UTEP to beat Kennesaw State. You want NC State to beat Duke to look like more of a quality win. You want Vanderbilt to beat South Carolina. And yes, you want Chattanooga to beat the Citadel because you want Chattanooga to look like the best FCS team Tennessee could have possibly played. Okay, so now to eliminate CFP competition. This is games that they're unlikely upsets, but if they happen, they could help Tennessee because they're Tennessee's competition in the college football playoff. You want Purdue to beat Ohio State. You want Florida State to beat Notre Dame. Neither one of those is happening, but you want them to happen. You want Maryland to beat Oregon. You want Utah State to beat Washington State because Washington State could technically, even though not being a Power 5 school, could be one of the top 4 conference champions if they keep winning. You want Michigan to beat Indiana. You want Washington to beat Penn State, and you want Georgia Tech to beat Miami. None of those are likely. Those are the crazy upsets in the dark, shots in the dark, although Dave thinks Michigan could beat Indiana. But those are all shots in the dark. Now, these are...
I will go on record and say that Michigan will beat Indiana. And I would like to go on record as saying, Ashley says, for the record, you both are aging well. Thank you. Well, it's a good thing you said so, Ashley, because apparently Caleb's on the prowl.
I am not. All right, so now we're going to go to the next tier, which is these are the type of upsets that also would help Tennessee, but they're much more realistic. So Virginia Tech over Clemson. I know Clemson lost last weekend, but Dave, I think you'd rather them be totally out of it because if they mess around and get to the ACC title game, they could win that. And then all of a sudden 2 ACC teams are in. So you want Clemson gone. So
yes, you want Clemsoning that game.
Yes, you want Virginia Tech to beat Clemson. You want Texas Tech to beat Colorado. There's no way Tennessee should ever lose a spot to Colorado if they're both 10-2. But guys, that Dion hype train for a TV show is dangerous. So you got to root for Texas Tech over Colorado. You want Virginia to beat Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh still has 1 loss. You want Kansas to beat Iowa State, and you want Utah to beat BYU. So those are for the upsets. Now the top tier. This is going to help Tennessee strength of schedule and would eliminate competition for them in the college football playoff. You want Florida to beat Texas. Not going to happen, but if Florida beats Texas, Dave, it helps your schedule strength. And then if you're Tennessee, you move ahead of Texas in the CFP race. Okay.
I'm into that. I'm listening. Ashley, who's the more attractive of the 2 hosts, of me or Caleb? Go ahead.
You want...
All right. Who's next? Ashley also offers up this. A lot of men age like a fine wine, but some fall off shortly after they are happy. I think that means that you grow the dad bod once
Dave, you don't have to make the females answer this. There could be some men on this chat room that are into men, and they could judge us too. So
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being judged by men.
All right. So next is so there's 4 games that I'm talking about in this top tier. I said Florida over Texas. The other one, Oklahoma over Missouri. Dave, Missouri is still in Tennessee's way as a potential college football playoff contender at 10-2. You need Oklahoma to beat them desperately, and that would help Tennessee strength the schedule. So you really want Oklahoma to beat Missouri over the weekend.
What did Ashley say?
I'm not sure Caleb's age, but I want to say he is too young for me.
I think that's a Dave vote.
Okay. Will you stop? Will you stop? Will you stop?
If there's any arguing that's a vote for Dave. I think Dave just got you're better looking, Dave. All right. Caleb, what do you got? We're both happily married, but I'm just throwing that out there that apparently I'm more attractive to our audience than you are, Caleb. What do you got?
All right. The top 2 games you want to root for this weekend. You want to root for Georgia to beat Ole Miss. If Ole Miss beats Georgia and Georgia goes to beat Tennessee, Ole Miss is moving ahead of Tennessee in the college football playoff. You desperately need Georgia to win that game on Saturday. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah, they have to win. And Ashley's closer to my age, funny enough, but she's 38.
She is. Ashley's 38. So look out, Mrs. Calhoun.
Oh my gosh, will you stop? But yes, you want Georgia to beat Ole Miss, and you most notably want Alabama to beat LSU. And you can hate that all day, but think about this, Dave. If LSU beats Alabama, let's say this: Alabama 10-2, LSU 10-2. Who's more likely to finish ahead of Tennessee if Tennessee's 10-2? LSU is, because they'd have a harder schedule, and Tennessee doesn't have the head-to-head over LSU. So you need Alabama to win this game.
Yes, you have to root for the Crimson Tide. By the way, back to our poll question, and that is this. I can't root for Florida, and Georgia are tied at 35%. You shouldn't root for Georgia, though, really. I don't guess, should you?
Oh, you should. No, over Ole Miss, you need Georgia to beat Ole Miss. If Ole Miss beats Georgia,
because that would bounce Ole Miss from contention completely.
Yeah, if Georgia beats Ole Miss, that knocks Ole Miss out. Ole Miss beating Georgia is not knocking Georgia out, particularly if Georgia beats Tennessee next week.
Agreed. And then Alabama would be second, 22%. Nobody cares about Oklahoma. It was even a terrible musical. It's 5%. Who's next?
No, I named them all. That's it. You need Alabama to beat LSU. Those are my top tier. You want Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma as your top tier. You want all of them to win desperately.